In this video, we're going to be looking at Amazon SQS. We're going to add an SQS client, we're then going to create an SQS queue, then we're going to send a message to our SQS queue. Okay, so let's create our project. We're going to go up to File, New Project, and we're going to select Console Application, and that's for .NET Core, and we're going to call this Email Producer. Select OK, let that build. And now we're going to install our AWS package. So we're going to say install package AWS Sdk.SQS. We'll let that install. Excellent. Now let's get rid of the console write line hello world. And I'm going to copy and paste another couple of console write lines as we go. And that's going to, on the output window, show us at what stage we're at. So at this point, when our application starts up, we're going to see console write line, and we're going to see the Amazon SQS. So now let's implement the client. So Amazon SQS is the variable name, and we're going to say new Amazon SQS client. We're going to select a certain region point because we're going to use US East 1. So we're going to say US East 1. And this client, now that we've set it up, is going to get our credentials from our credentials file that are located in our user account. So if we head along to Explorer and we have a look at where we are now, we're in C drive, users, and my username, Daniel Donovan, and .aws. Inside here, you'll see a credentials file. So if we open that, I've X'd all my secret and access keys so no one can see these, but as you can see, this is where you would store your access and secret key. So you can create IAM roles inside Amazon. So you create an IAM role and you create a user, then you'd be given an access and secret key, and this is where you'd store them. This is so that our application can talk to AWS. So heading back to our application, now let's create our queue. So we're going to say console write line again, to show us again where we're up to, saying create a queue called email queue. And we're going to say var SQS request equals new create queue request. And these create queue requests are all part of the Amazon's SDK that we installed. We're going to use object initialization to add our queue name that we want. So we're going to say queue name equals, and we'll call that email queue. And now we're going to create the actual queue. So we're going to say store a variable as create queue response equals SQS dot create queue async, and we'll pass in the request that we just created above. And we'll say dot result. And that's going to create the queue for us. We also need to create a queue URI. So we're going to say var my queue URL equals create queue, which is from above as well, create queue response dot queue URL. And that's going to grab our queue URL from our created queue and store it in this my queue URL variable that we've just created. And that's going to become important later because we need to grab that URL. So now we want to confirm that the queue exists. So we're going to say var list queues request equals new list queues request. Again, this list queues request is from the AWS SDK. And var list queues response equals SQS dot list queues async and list queues request. So this SQS is from our client that we've created above, and this list queues request is from this list queues that we've created. And we're going to say console write line list Amazon queue, just so we can see again where we're up to in our application when we run it. We're going to enumerate through the queues and paste them out to our output window. So we're going to say for each, and inside there we're going to say list queues response dot result dot queues URL. And then we're going to say queue URL, so we can paste those out. And we're going to say console right line and using string interpolation, we're going to say $ there, queue URL, and then we're going to paste out the queue URLs from our variable up here. Okay, so then finally we're going to put a console read line there so it stops the console, and we can view the output in the output window. So behind the scenes, I've now changed my credentials file to contain my actual AWS secret and access key. So let's run our email producer. And as you can see here, we have our console write lines with the output that we've entered. So we've got our create a queue called email queue, list of the Amazon SQS queues, and now it's listed the queue that has been created. Let's go and check that inside Amazon. So we head over to Amazon's console, and we are going to refresh this page here, and fingers crossed our queue would have been created and we'll be able to view it. Excellent, so there's our queue there. Okay, so let's head back to our Visual Studio Code and we'll stop our running application. And now what we're going to add is our sending a message to our queue. So let's put a console write line and say sending a message to our email queue. Again, so we know where we're up to in our console window. And now we're going to say var SQS message request. So we're going to build the message request, new send message request. And again, using object initialization, we're going to add the queue URL, which is the my queue URL from above here. And this is where you add the message body, so what you want to contain in your message. And we're just going to put a dummy text message in here at the moment saying email information. But you could pass this into as a variable from your other applications that's actually calling this code. Now we're going to say SQS.send message async, so it's going to send our SQS message request to our queue. So SQS message request. And that should be about it. So what we're going to do is just add one more console write line saying finish to send message to our SQS queue. So let's run that again and make sure that our message has been sent. So running through it, saying that we've created the queue, list the queues, yes we can see the queue there, sending a message to our email queue, and finish sending message to our SQS queue. So let's head back to our Amazon's console, and as you can see here at the moment we've got 0 messages available. We'll refresh that, and now we've got 1. So it looks like that we've succeeded, but let's have a quick look. If we right click and say view deleted view messages, we can now see that our message has been received, and that's the body that we entered, email information. So that's our producer setup. We've created our client, we've then created our queue, we've made sure that our queue exists, and then we've sent a message to it. So next up, we're going to create a consumer to consume these messages. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, please remember to hit like and subscribe to my YouTube channel to keep up with all my latest YouTube tutorials.